It is January 5th, 2020. It's about 6:49 at night. And we've got a shot right now of downtown Hilo from Coconut Island. I'm back at Coconut Island. It's such a small town. It's a little bit romantic uh, seeing Hilo Bay's coastline. It's like you can kind of see the lights from the cars moving a little bit. They're going a little bit slow. Um, it's definitely kind of chill vibes here. It's definitely like a more easygoing pace and a more relaxed pace out in Hilo. I hear Honolulu is um, maybe a little bit more, or maybe a good deal more. How do you say? Like like lively and having kind of a kind of lots to do and kind of just being a busier city in general. Um, but being here definitely makes me curious about checking out one of the other islands, even before checking out Oahu. Like going to check out Maui or something. Um, it's fairly relaxing just being here. When I'd originally set out to move, I wanted to go to the West Coast because of the vibe. It just really kind of a little bit relaxing in general, just being someplace where the culture is a little bit chill. Not too many people in a big rush here. Let me go ahead and walk around the island a little bit. I'm surprised it hasn't rained, but it actually looks like rainy season is over. I was told that it would wrap up in January, and it really did. It kind of tapered off. It kind of tapered off in the last couple weeks of December. November was insane, though. November Hilo weather. I mean, I was here for. I've never been someplace where it rained for 2 straight weeks, like consistently, like all day and all night and all day and all night and all day again and all night again. And then all the next day after that, and then all night the next night after that. Um, I I assume, even though it's not like that all year round, thankfully, I guess I assume I've never been to a rainforest, but I guess I assume that's how rainforest weather must be, just like every hour on the hour rain. That's how it was during a couple weeks in November and then it came pretty close to it for the rest of the month. Just raining every hour on the hour. But personally, I like the rain. I find it calming. And so, even though I've never quite lived any place where it was just a complete washout for weeks, the rain was still nice. I still found the rain nice, whether I got caught in it or not. And I definitely have gotten caught in it my fair share of times already. In just the 2 months that I've been here. I moved here November 4th, so it's now January 5th, so just over 2 months. People out chilling. What is it? I think today's a Tuesday. And I don't know if it's a combination of like being able to work remote. I don't think so. I think it's just the weather here that, I mean, every day people are swimming. I think that's really cool. I know I'm a little bit late. I guess I'm a little bit late to Hawaii. But it's really something, having my first experience here being to live here. But yeah, not exactly a sleepy town, but definitely like a very laid back town. I think sleepy towns refer to like not just laid back, but maybe also like old age, like a town of chill older folks, not really doing much. But that isn't the case here. But it's definitely really relaxing. I will say I had some difficulty, like I've had some difficulty finding substantial work, in terms of like full-time salary positions, in my field. I work in IT, and I believe they're all on Honolulu. I mean, they're all in Oahu. They're all on the main island. But I managed to be able to hold a couple of part-time jobs. One of them still partially in my field. Well, one of them actually in my field. it'll probably just take it'll probably just take a little bit of time before like as I keep applying out um, before I find something. Hey, evening. Um, but even without even without having a full salary position yet, I mean, again, I've just been here a couple months. I, I did a lot of interviews remote to Oahu. Um, but basically, I have to live there in order to really apply. So, um, but yeah, like even without the full time positions, like so far, I'd have to say I definitely enjoy it. Um, like Hilo's a really nice town to be in, just in general. So yeah, I hear it's a lot busier on Oahu, which makes sense. So I'm half wondering whether what I'll end up doing is actually like going to visit Maui first. I don't know. Mr. Beast just like he just started this burger chain, and I wanted to actually try one of the burgers. And right now, I guess for anyone watching who's not familiar with Mr. Beast, he's like basically like a YouTube philanthropist. Um, he's someone who's made a lot of money. He's made a lot of money off of shooting videos where he gives away money, or like does other like kind of philanthropic type games and challenges and whatnot. But yeah, so he opened a burger chain. He opened 300 burger chains, and so there's stores across, like, it looks like a lot of the states in the U.S. And there's one in Hawaii, but but of course it's on Oahu. But it looks pretty good. I'd want to I'd want to go there to see how it is, but I'm definitely now curious about like one of the other like kind of laid back islands in Hawaii. The only thing I've heard about Maui since I've been here is that it's expensive, which is it's something coming from someone in Hawaii, because everything is really expensive here. In a previous video, I basically compared it to New York in terms of how expensive like food and stuff is here, which means it's probably similar to LA or any other like really big city in the, I would say in the Northeast or out west, but less so in the South. So recently I was recently I saw an ad for I guess the first electric vehicle with solar. Evening. With evening. I seen a commercial for like an ad for the first electric vehicle that has solar paneling. So in other words, if left out in the sun for long enough, it wouldn't need fuel. Oh. Evening. And so I seen an ad or like a clip for I guess something that's about to be released, which is like the first it's like a 2-passenger 3-wheeled electric vehicle, maybe about the length of a car, that you can charge at an electric vehicle like refueling or recharging station, but it also has solar paneling, and when it's fully charged, it can go for about 1,100 miles. And the solar paneling charges it, oh boy, I forget how much per day. Some small percentage, maybe like 20% a day or 40% I forget. I think it's kind of a little bit low. I think it might be around 20% a day. Meaning, as long as you left your car for long enough, it would eventually reach a full charge just off of charging from the sun, making it free to use. There's probably some sort of term using the word neutral to describe that, but it just sort of made me realize that that type of thing is it means that if I'm seeing ads for it, then it means that it's basically around the corner, and seeing it pop up now in 2021, it means that I mean, based on what it looks like, it means that by the late, probably within, well, definitely, it means that definitely within our lifetimes, we'll probably see like cars that we'll probably see them perfect the technology where they're able to somehow figure out how to increase the power that solar paneling is able to absorb. And so I figure if we're just now seeing vehicles that, if left alone, can power themselves, then it means that in the future, within our lifetimes, we'll probably start seeing cars that where we need to buy fuel for, like, completely phase out, which means that it'll become a thing of the past to have needed to pay to fuel your car. And thinking about that, I realized that in the coming decades, there's probably going to be all sorts of how to say, advances in technology as far as utilizing renewable resources and making more and more efficient use of renewable resources. It made me realize that as far as that goes, we'll probably shoot, I'm sorry, I just said that. What it means that we'll probably, how to say this? We'll probably see that technology get better, not just for cars, but for housing and all sorts of things. And probably within our lifetimes, it'll get to a point where having to do things like pay electric bills will have become a thing of the past. Probably in the coming decades, we'll see things like having to pay an electric bill become a thing in the past. A thing of the past, excuse me, a thing of the past. And so then that got me thinking that with the way things are trending right now, it's not just going to be power and electricity that we that we'll get better at using as a renewable resource over the coming decades, but I'd like to believe that as the years pass, we'll get closer and closer to, how do you say this? A point where we've gotten power utilization and recycling and like things surrounding renewable resources as far as that goes, I have to assume I assume that we'll probably move towards a time when people will not have to pay for things like power everywhere, or not have to pay for things like clean water everywhere in the world, or not have to pay for basic things like shelter potentially. Even though that one's like a very long ways away, like making sure that getting to a point in terms of technological advancement where we figured out how to manipulate resources so well that there's enough for everyone, that there's just enough in terms of basics, that no matter who you are, you'll always be able to have some place to live, to have clean drinking water, slash bathing water, and then the probably the hardest one would be to have access to food. My understanding is that if we used all the land that we use for farm animals on growing plants, then we actually could produce enough food for everyone in the world. But obviously things aren't gonna work out that way. Like everyone would have to decide at one time But that's not really, that's not really how things go. The way that things go is that whoever's ahead, whoever's the most ahead forges ahead, and but eventually everyone kind of picks up in terms of progress. Um, and so I realized that even though, I mean, we'll start to see the beginnings of it probably, in the coming decades, but ultimately I think and maybe it might be I don't know, it might be like a couple hundred years or something, but it looks like we might be moving towards it looks like we could move towards towards a time period where people wonder what it was like to have to buy food or pay for water, you know. Um, um, just off of our technological advancement. Like not necessarily off of politics or off of, like everyone becoming, I don't know, a communist nation or something like that, but just because in the next few decades, it kind of looks like, in the coming decades, that we're, as a race, will kind of really begin to get a grip on a lot of these basic resources that everyone uses and everyone needs, and figure out how to make all of it renewable enough so that no one has to pay for it anymore, because I don't know, mainly just because we're advanced enough to be able to actually provide resources for everyone. And so off of that, I asked myself, if things actually move in that direction, which would be amazing, I wonder how things would be different. Like I wonder, obviously there'd still be, money and competition and, all different, I guess, degrees of maybe quality of life. That you could attain to, but if we actually got to a point technologically where where no one ever had to wonder about the basics anymore. Where no matter whether a person, um, you know, had gainful, had a I don't know, how do you say, like a rich career, or had just lost a job or something, that regardless of who you were, like, you would never have to worry about being homeless, or about finding food, or clean water to, like, drink or wash in. You know, that no matter what happened to you in life, you would just at least always have the basics covered. Like, I'm trying to think, like, how do you think that would make people, like, I mean, the first thing that pops into my mind is that it might free up a lot of time for creativity, in the same way that when we first discovered agriculture, and, like, planting and, like, farming, when we first figured that out, how it allowed us to switch from being nomadic to being able to settle and, like, start to build rich civilizations. That's the first thing that pops into my mind. I assume there would be some loafing, like if basics were covered, no matter what, if you always knew that you could have some place to live, and food to eat, and clean water to drink. I assume it would free up, but even though there would be some loafers, I assume it might just free people up to be more creative, to spend time being more creative. I wonder if you might see, like, a little renaissance out of an environment like that. Where no one had to worry about the basics ever again. I assume culture would change around it a little bit. I definitely assume that it definitely would allow people to probably go on pursuits that they might not have otherwise, because they had to